Welcome back, everyone. Scott Haley here. I'm going to get right to it because I have a lot to cover and I want to keep this relatively short. So, I was going to leave the word soft out of the title of this piece, but I decided to leave it in because we really do have a considerable amount of freedom still in this country. That's changing. But we're pretty much the envy of much of the world when it comes to freedoms. Um, that doesn't mean we're not in danger, but we'll leave the word soft in the title. Now, to begin, at the highest levels of the oligarchy in this country or any country, the labels right, left, conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, those don't mean anything to the upper crust. Not a thing. But at the street level, they still do, because unfortunately most people are still drinking the propaganda Kool-Aid. But let's get down to the street level for a moment. Most people on the political right believe that we are still in a republic in this country, that a republic is our form of government. Most people on the political left believe that we're still in a democracy in this country. But if you've stopped drinking the Edward Bernays style propaganda Kool-Aid, you recognize that we're not in either one of those governmental systems. So let's examine first the false belief that we're still in a republic. The bedrock of any republic is the Constitution, and that's especially true in the USA. That is the foundation of the Republic of the United States of America. Unfortunately, all three branches of our government have been ignoring large portions of the Constitution for decades and for decades. And that's been especially true in the last 20, 30 years. In 1901, Justice Harlan of the Supreme Court issued a dissenting opinion in a case, I believe it was called Downs v. Bidwell. I'm not positive, but that rings a bell. And in this piece, Justice Harlan, in 1901, warned of legislative absolutism. And by that, he meant passing laws that did not conform to the Constitution of the United States, passing unconstitutional laws. And he said that there was developing in this nation a system that had two branches. One followed the Constitution, and the other did not. And this is as far back as 1901. A few years ago on YouTube, I remember this so well. There was a clip, and an interviewer was talking to a congressperson, House of Representatives, and this congressional representative stated in response to a question from the interviewer, quote, "Half of what we do in Congress is unconstitutional." And he said it in a way as, "Don't you know that?" Now, the icing on the cake, I mean, I could list for you dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of instances where the government has, the highest levels of the government, has violated the Constitution. I've been doing it on my blog over at individualsovereignty.blogspot.com for 8 years almost. But let me just give you the icing on the cake. We now have a law in this country, the National Defense Authorization Act. It comes up every year. And for the last 3 years, 2012, 13, and 14, there's a provision in that law that one person, the president, can designate anybody to be held indefinitely, incommunicado, no access to an attorney, no habeas corpus, no warrant, no trial, no jury, no appeal, and that person can even be executed on the say-so of one person, the president. That's in the NDAA. Now, you don't have to believe me. Google it. Just Google NDAA. Some time ago, Forbes magazine had a piece on it, and they agreed with the description I just gave. Several other legitimate news sources have also reported on it. That's obviously blatantly unconstitutional. So, if we don't have obedience by our government to the provisions of the Constitution, which is the bedrock of the Republic, we no longer have a republic. It's a republic in name only. All right, let's go to the false belief that we still live in a democracy. And I'm talking about a truly participatory democracy, not the charade we have here. I hate to say these things, but I have to. It's true. Yes, here we get to vote. We still get to vote. Of course, they keep changing it. You know, the requirements for voting. But anyway, we do still get to vote. Here's the problem. At the national level, the overwhelming majority of candidates, regardless of political party, are selected, groomed, and financed by the rich and powerful, the oligarchy. And even if some candidate who actually represents we the people manages to get into a primary, or even manages to get elected, that person is very quickly, by the system in D.C., marginalized and virtually made unimportant, or, you know, they just don't pay any attention to them. They don't get committee assignments, they don't get this or that or the other, and so they're completely marginalized. Even in the 1930s, as far back as the 1930s, FDR, Roosevelt, wrote in a letter to a friend, quote, "In this country, presidents are selected, not elected," unquote. So this goes way back. In addition, we have instances of black box voting, rigged voting machines. Now, if you don't think it exists, go to blackboxvoting.org, that website. There's also a documentary put out by them called Black Box Voting. Excellent documentary. Take a look at it. Now, as to fascism, FDR, who I just mentioned, and Mussolini both defined fascism as the marriage of big business, not the little guys, to the state. That is what fascism is. Fascism isn't just about, jackbooted thugs going around breaking windows and, acting like outlaws. Fascism is a lot deeper than that. Fascism basically is crony capitalism, where government and big business are in league, like they were with IG Farben in Nazi Germany. And I can't remember the companies, but there were companies in fascist Italy as well. Well, I'm sorry, but that's what we've had in this country for quite a number of years. Big business married to the state. In the old days, free market capitalists, they didn't want anything to do with the state. Now, big business is in league with the state. Let me remind you of that Citibank authored amendment to the latest spending bill. Most people may not be aware of the fact that many, if not most, legislative bills in this country, they're not written by the people that you elected to office. They're written by lobbyists. For every single one of the 535 representatives that we have in D.C., there are 5 to 6 lobbyists from mega corporations. And what they do is they have certain special interests. They want certain things a certain way in law. So they draft legislation. They draft prospective laws, bills, legislative bills. And then they go around to different Congress people and hawk them and try to get somebody to look it over and get it into committee and on the floor and voted on and passed. That's what they do. So that's what we have in this country now. There are a number of legitimate studies. One of them was from Princeton, showing that 70 to 95% of the general public is ignored in relation to public policy formulation by the politicians. In other words, the people we elect don't really care what we think. They're serving their primary constituency, which is the super rich and the powerful. Because the name of the game for any politician is to get reelected. That's what they want most. And, who funds that? Well, the super rich. Mega corporations in this country usually contribute equally to Democrats and Republicans in the same political race. So that all is a big part of fascism, and unfortunately we have soft fascism in this country. Okay, that's about it. Thank you very much, and you guys take care. I'm going to try to get this thing turned off. Okay, be well. See you next time.